it has been a pleasant surprise to see women in music play enormous roles behind the scenes too, and really take on the invisible labor is what I'll call it. The stuff we don't always see. I'm talking about the publicists. I'm talking about the managers. I'm talking about the booking agents, the photographers, the journalists, the editors, the radio hosts, the content creators, the community builders. Hey, I've got my platform. Let me share it with you. Let's do this thing together. A lot of modern metal culture, a lot of music is DIY today. So we need everybody. And I'm not saying that there wasn't, more so in heavy music and hip hop, I think, than others. But like, when it comes to these cultures, it started as DIY, it's still DIY, and it just looks differently. And shout out to everybody who is still contributing and still carrying on. A lot of metal culture, especially online, is sustained by female labor. Even if the public-facing image of metal does skew masculine, I think that it somewhat still does. However, I'm not going to say it does totally anymore. Not in the same way that it might have in the 70s and 80s. We are more than welcoming to females in this space. More welcoming than we ever have been, is my argument. So this is especially true in any type of alternative media. I mentioned hip hop, I'm mentioning heavy music, podcasting, hello, social content, fan communities, the cheerleaders, they're still here. I'm not saying groupies. I'm saying, street teams, which are now social media teams, that type of thing. Like, they're the ones running the fan sites, the fan Reddits, things like that. I mean, they're running the Substacks if they're more print, it's shout out to them. Shout out to them. They're doing merch, design, graphic design, if that's their expertise, festival documentation. Hey, photographers, how are you? We love what you do too, because you're part of the reason we get to see a lot of this. Videographers, shout out to you as well. There has been a major shift from women merely participating in scenes to actively curating and shaping them. We have a little bit more of a voice, which may be why we see Hailstorm, Spirit Box today. We see Alisa making the career moves that she's been making over the last few months. Well, another woman kicked the door down at some point. They might not have, had exactly the same journey, but somewhere somebody did it first. Other women said, yeah, I like that. Showed the boys, who might have a little more control in a few different ways, and proved to them that, this is valuable monetarily, attention, in those capacities, and made them sit back and say, we can't ignore this anymore. So shout out to all of you keeping going, because it is exhausting. It is exhausting to wait for that recognition and to wait for your day to come. And you know what? We said, let's make our day. So I am thrilled to see this, and I am thrilled to see where we go. I think women are, yes, expected to be authentic, but also marketable and, respected if they're technical, criticized if they're too polished. There's still some stuff that there's still some stuff that we have to work on, praise for confidence, but criticized, punished for ego. Some of that going on, okay? I know that metal pride, particularly metal and hip hop, they pride themselves on rebellion, but it still can reproduce traditional gender expectations underneath if we keep doing that. So there's still things to work on. Women are still, asked about appearance. Women sometimes are accused of clout chasing. Emotional expression is still sometimes interpreted differently when it comes from a woman, versus if it were to come from a man. There's still things to work on. I'm not saying that it's perfect. That's not my argument here. But I am happy to see that where we're at now is women can be architects of scenes. Women can be label founders. Women can be tastemakers. Women can be critics. Women can be educators. Women can encourage genre hybrids. Women can be technical musicians. Women can be cultural commentators. Hello, hey, I could I have done this if I had done it 20 years ago in very limited capacities? I recognize that. So let's see where this goes. I like to see, to me, as I get older, I feel like I physically see more women present in heavy metal. I don't know what our roles are going to look like next, but I will say I think we're going to see an even more 50-50 say, men and women. I think we're going to see a more of a 50-50 say in these spaces that at their origin were male dominated.